Hey YouTubers, it's Ray Brown coming to you from inside the innovational-health.com van. And I have a really important message today that I want to discuss with you, and it has to do with this item. Do you know what this item is? This is your RV propane gas alarm, and it's one of 3 alarms along with your smoke detector and your carbon monoxide alarm that could potentially keep you alive in case of a malfunction. And I had a malfunction just the other day, and I want to relate that to you. Your propane gas alarm is located near the floor because propane does not float. It is heavier than air, and it will accumulate at first at the bottom of your RV. So it's really important that this be maintained, because as it rises it could very subtly well, kill you in a very short way. If you remember, propane does smell like rotten eggs, and at least they put something that smells like rotten eggs so that you can notice it. But if you're asleep and the windows are shut, that may not be helpful. So you need to test this alarm every once in a while. And let me show you how. It's very simple how to do that. And that, just press the test button. And did you see that? I don't know if you saw that. I'm going to do it again, but it emitted a signal and then a red dot, and that red dot tells us that you're in this particular one, which is made by MTI, that this is okay. Let me do that just one more time for you. Watch the dot. Okay, did you see that? I held it down a little bit longer and you got a double beep, but again it turned red. And so that's how you need to test it. And when this video is done, what I want you to do is to go to your gas alarm and to go ahead and test it, as well as all the other alarms. And you should do this at least once weekly for your own safety. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Okay, before we go on, I should tell you that all of these gas detectors may not be the same, so follow the instructions for properly testing your particular gas alarm, propane alarm, to make sure that you are testing it correctly. But please test it once per week. Now, why did all this come up? Why my sudden concern? Because, to be honest, I've been doing this a long time, and I really never was concerned about gas alarms and testing it, and it's always something had to happen. Okay, and something did happen, and just a few days ago. You'll notice I have this one here. This was the original one that came with the coach. This particular motorhome is a 2012. This particular MTI gas alarm is designed to be replaced. Did you know that? Your coach may have a gas alarm that is designed to be replaced. And how often? Well, every 5 years or 60 months. Now, how do I know that? Well, if you would read your documentation, yeah, then you would know that if you needed to have it replaced every so often. But on this particular model, it tells you right on the front, replaced by 60 months. And 60 months from when? Well, the date of manufacture, which is right there, and this says December 15, 2011. Well, 5 years from that would have been December 15, 2016. Now, I have had a friend who has had his working without any problems for 9 years. And that may be true, and probably is more likely than not true. But you never want to be in a situation where your gas alarm is not working. And let me explain what happened just the other night. I was in bed. probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden the gas alarm went off. Beep, beep, beep. Instead of that one beep that you heard many times, and it seemed like so many decibels higher than the one that you heard. And I jumped out of bed. At first I didn't know which alarm it was. Of course I tried the other two first, still didn't help. I went down and sure enough it was the propane. I turned it off, which is by hitting the test button is the way to turn off the sound. But the dot remained red, which meant the presence of propane gas, or, and this is a significant factor, or that this unit was malfunctioning. Now, didn't know they could malfunction. I mean, yeah, I suppose. I know a lot of alarms should be replaced at certain times, but I never really thought of it in terms of the gas propane alarm. So I went back to bed. 30 seconds later, same thing happened. This time I went out, shut off all the gas. I still didn't smell anything, and I was perplexed. And this kept going on and on and on every 30 seconds until about the 6th time, and I read in the manual where the fuse was, and I pulled the fuse. Now this is dangerous, because if there is a propane leak, now I have no way of safeguarding myself except for one way, and that is sleep near an open window. And that's the old tried and true method. It's not 100%, but it's would be pretty close. And so I did that, and I also ran a fan. So that was the old way, but you can't go on and live in an RV like that. So immediately in the next morning I called Winnebago tech support. This is a Itasca Winnebago product. And their thought was that the alarm had malfunctioned and had gone bad. After all, it was older than 5 years. And while this seemed improbable to me, I was directed to the nearest Winnebago dealer. Now the problem is, you don't know if you're having a propane leak or it's the alarm, because remember, I didn't test it prior to this, so I don't know, and it appears to test, by the way, it still appeared to test good. So I had to take it into Winnebago dealer, and they had to run for like $135 because a specified type of a person with credentials must do your propane leak tests. I mean, you really don't want to do it yourself or leave that into the hands of somebody that's not certified. And he checked out the refrigerator, which I don't actually use. He checked out the heater. He checked out the stove. Nothing was leaking. So that's the good news. The bad news was, yeah, the alarm was bad. And it cost $85. Luckily, the Winnebago dealer does stock these, because who knew? They frequently go bad. So I guess what I'm telling you is, number one is to check your alarms on a weekly basis. But number two, realize that you're supposed to, if you have a certain type of alarm, replace them every so often, just like my MTI propane gas alarm. And I didn't know this. I'm hopefully giving you some information that maybe you didn't know either, or if you did know it, this just reinforces that it could happen, and you could be left without your line of defense against falling asleep and being asphyxiated by one of the fumes in your RV. This could be a very bad situation, obviously. So that's my story. If you have anything to add, please put it in the comments. As always, if you find that this was beneficial to you, and I hope that you did, go ahead and leave me a like. And I'd love to have you subscribe. I've got a number of videos out now, and hey, there's a lot more coming.